Hi, everybody. This is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. And I want to welcome you so much to our Saturday video that we're doing this time instead of a conference call. My guest is Michael Nash, who moved to Panama from Texas. I'm going to wait. Oh, somebody's got their phone ringing. It's not mine. So we're going to get the call started in just a couple more minutes, right at 5 o'clock Central Time. Meanwhile, we're waiting for everybody to come in. I can see everybody over in the chat. If you could tell me where you're from over there. I see we've got a lot of different people have joined in. Put a note on there and let me know where you're from. On the conference call we had last weekend, we had people, of course, from the United States and Canada and Australia and New Zealand and Russia and Puerto Rico and Colombia, just all over the world. It was amazing. So we've got Michael from Saudi Arabia, some people from Florida, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Nashville, Tennessee, Florida, some Canadians in the group, a lot of Texans, Cypress, Texas. So you guys in Texas, you either have a way too hot or way too cold. There's very few days and weeks when the weather's just right. I know, because I used to live there. That's one of the reasons that I moved to Panama, is because I just got tired of the hot weather or the cold weather, and I wanted to live someplace where I could get away from that and not need an air conditioner. Okay, so it's time. So I want to introduce you to my guest, is Michael Nash. Say hi, Michael.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So, Michael, where did you move from whenever you moved to Panama?
Yeah, I just relocated from Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I was quarantined for 9 months, stuck in my condo, and I got tired of looking at my neighbors across the street month after month after month. And I was just about to move right before COVID shut us down. And then that happened, so that delayed my adventure. And then you came out with a Panama Relocation Tour online guide, which I bought immediately and started researching that. And that's what kind of led me here. So as soon as that airport opened, I booked my trip.
Right. Now, you never came on a Panama Relocation Tour.
No.
You just got the online guide, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you feel like it had all the information that you needed to know to make this move?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's what I used for my basis for all my research to get here. And we were just talking earlier, and I'm actually a digital nomad now. And one of the things for me was I wanted to try to figure out how to take advantage of that foreign earned income exclusion. And so I took your advice out of the guide for that. I took your advice for working with Panama Sarah. That's who you recommended for the area that I wanted to go to. And she's been more than helpful with everything that I needed here. In fact, I just signed a lease for my unit that she's not even the manager for that, but she had my contract for that reviewed because of your recommendation. That contract was reviewed, and we found a couple of mistakes within the rental agreement that I was about to sign that she fixed and didn't charge me anything for that. So, with everything that's in that guide, it gave me everything that I was looking for, and I knew the exact area that I wanted. I wanted the beach. I didn't want to be in Boquete because I lived in San Diego for 5 years, and that climate seemed to be kind of on the same par as San Diego. And I'm a beach guy. I like to be warm. I like to be in pools. I like to swim. I like warm water. And so I knew exactly what I was looking for. And I got here at 4 o'clock in the morning on December 1st in the dark, walked in here, had no idea what I was walking into. And when that sun came up out of this window the next morning, I don't know if you can see very well out here, but that's the view that I had when I woke up.
I see the ocean.
That next morning, I was like, "Oh, hello, I'm here. I found it. I got it."
You're in paradise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's the amazing thing about Panama. It's such a little country, a very small country, but no matter what people want, if they want the beach, if they want the mountains, if they want to live in a big city, a little city, regardless of what your budget is, there's a place that's going to be just right, that'll fit your budget and the kind of weather that you want to have here. And the other great thing about the weather here is it's pretty much the same all year round. You're not going to have the hot part of the year and the cold part of the year. And the only difference is going to be you get a little bit more rain during the rainy season and a little bit more windy that you'll find out soon in January, February, and March. But other than that, the temperature's the same. So it really is easy to move here. So, in your transition to moving to the Coronado area, I know you've been grocery shopping and doing all those things. Have you found that pretty much everything you need, you can get it here?
Yeah, so the reason I picked, so I'm in Coronado Bay, which is right on the beach. It's inside
Mhm.
the Coronado gated community, and then Coronado Bay itself, the building that I'm in, is behind yet another security gate. The nice thing about this building, and the reason I picked this versus Gorgona, for example, because I researched Gorgona, which is about a 10-minute walk right down the beach, um,
Mhm.
is because everything is walkable here as far as immediate needs. So within a 5-minute walk, I've got two little what they call chinos, which are the little mini markets, like a
Right.
convenience store. So I've got two convenience stores that are pretty much fully stocked with everything that you need. And then within that same area is Luna Rosa, which is my
Okay.
favorite Italian restaurant, which is
Yeah.
fantastic Italian food. And then right across the street is Picasso restaurant. And that's, again, within a 5-minute walk. Then if I want to go grocery shopping, all I have to do is go back up to the highway, which is a $1 cab ride,
Mhm.
$1 to go like 4 miles back up to the highway. And there's the Ray supermarket. Right across the street is the Super 99. Then across the street is Reba Smith. So three major supermarkets where you can find anything that you need. Then within that area, up by the highway, are the three vegetable stands where you get, in fact, I got it sitting right here. It's a fresh papaya that I just got today
Mhm.
for $1. I got a pineapple sitting here that I got for $1. Um, let's see. Oh, and then there's a fresh fish market up there as well. So I got two red snappers that were like that big, and I think they were like $4 each. So
Mhm.
anything that I need is within just a easy cab ride, for $1.
Right. Yeah, that's so many areas in Panama have that situation that you can get by without a car because
Yeah,
everything's
absolutely.
just close by and taxis are readily available and super
Yep,
affordable also.
absolutely.
And so when did you move to Coronado?
I got here December 1st. I came here without any other plan other than just coming down on a reconnaissance mission. And I knew exactly what I was looking for because, like I said, I bought the guide. I researched and researched and researched. I watched YouTube video after YouTube video. I watched it about Pearl Islands. I watched it about San Blas. I watched about Bocas. I watched about Boquete. I watched about Coronado. I knew exactly what I was looking for. And when I asked you, what you recommended based on exactly what I was looking for, and you hooked me up with Sarah, that was the exact match that I needed because Sarah took such good care of me. And when she
Mm-hmm.
gave me this, found this unit for me that I'm in, like I said, when I got here and, I woke up and there's the swimming pool right outside my door. I mean, right outside my balcony, the ocean's right below. I have a rooftop swimming pool. I have a rooftop gym. I have all the amenities that I need. I was like, man, it checked every single box. Every single box was checked. So it didn't just turn out to be a reconnaissance trip for me. I signed a lease within 5 days of being here.
Yeah.
So I had a return flight with, I was going to be here for 2 months. So now I'm going to, try to play the border hop game within that, the 72-hour window and fly to a different area someplace and reset my clock so I don't have to leave after 6 months. But if it doesn't work out, it's okay. But
Mm-hmm.
because of what I'm trying to do for 2021, from a tax perspective, I have to be outside of the United States for 330 days. So I have
Right.
my plan. I know exactly what I have to do to position myself for everything that we're doing. But the place that I found here, and man, this area is exactly what I was looking for, and I couldn't be
Right.
happier.
That's great. Normally, starting about now, about the middle of December, there's a lot of snowbirds that come to the Coronado area, mostly people from Canada, that
They're
they
not
come
here.
down, but they're not here this year
Oh,
because of COVID. They're just not here. So
yeah,
there's a lot of full-time expats that live right in Coronado Bay. And I've been to Coronado Bay many times and been up on that beautiful
yeah.
pool deck on the very top with the ocean views that seem to go on forever and ever. But you pretty much have the place to yourself, except for the full-time people that live there all the time, because a lot of snowbirds are just not coming this year.
Yeah, I'm looking out at the ocean right now, and there's two people in the ocean. There's one little family sitting over here, but that's it. That's what
Yeah.
it's been all day, up and down this entire stretch of beach for miles. There's nobody.
The other great thing about normally when snowbirds come, landlords double their prices
Right.
for snowbirds. And because they're not coming this year, they're super negotiable on
Yeah.
rents. So it's really
When
a great time to come to Panama, because something that might would have rented for $1,800 or $2,000 a month, you can probably get it for $1,100 or $1,000 a month.
it's exactly what I got. I got a 2-bedroom on the 12th floor overlooking the beach, and I'm just like going, man, how can I beat that deal? It's
Hmm.
incredible to me.
Yeah.
And
And
the
keep in
nice thing
mind,
about I was going to say the nice thing about signing this lease that I just signed, it doesn't start until February 1st because I'm in this unit for December and January. So I will get through most of the busy season in next year before I have to renew. So, you know, I can probably get a pretty good price on the renewal next year as well, just
right.
because of the timing on it.
Oh, yeah. Negotiate, negotiate.
Hmm. Yeah.
Definitely negotiate. So, have you met some other foreigners or expats that live in the building that you're in and at Picasso and Luna
Yeah.
Rosa and other
Yeah.
places?
Absolutely. And that's been kind of the other success story of my transition, and what's made it so easy is everybody is so friendly. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I found the deal in the unit that I'm renting starting in February, was just talking to everybody down at the pool and finding
Mm-hmm.
out, the different prices that people are paying for their units, because and all you do is you start talking to people on the ground, and they just want to sing like canaries. Once you
Yeah.
start talking, it's like you get so much information about the places to shop, the best, even in this building, for example, when you're looking at units, everybody was saying, oh, no, you don't want to be in the west side of the building.
No, you
And sure
don't.
enough, yeah, and sure enough, I went and looked at a unit on the west side of the building at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I walked in there. It was like, holy hell, it's hot in here.
Felt like a
Yeah,
Texas summer. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
You
absolutely. But
absolutely
then,
don't want to be
yeah,
on
the
the
other side
west
of the
side.
building and all the windows open, wide open to all the rooms, the living room, the bedrooms, they all wide open without screens on them. And the breezes up there are just fantastic. It's just
Mm-hmm.
an amazing place. But like I said, I was looking for the warm climate. I was looking for the beach climate. I was looking for the warm water. And I just didn't want to be chilly.
Right. From what I understand, every time I've been in the Pacific Ocean, the water feels like it's about 80 degrees. It feels pretty
Absolutely.
warm all year long, whether it's December, July, or January. It's always very warm.
Yeah,
So,
that's what's really surprising to me is that, you know, it's almost like bathwater. In fact, when I was in Isla Contadora last weekend, I had that whole island to myself, and I was on Playa Larga, and that water was almost uncomfortable. It was so warm. But the
yeah,
clarity, the clarity is what was really impressed me, was even out here, but we've got two little points of rocks where the tide shifts, and it creates little tide pools. But the clarity here for snorkeling and stuff like that is probably about 10 to 15 feet. But in Isla Contadora, Pacific side, man, that water is crystal clear. The visibility was probably 30 or 40 feet. It was
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
So tell us about your trip over to Contadora.
Yeah, so there's a bed and breakfast called Hibiscus House, and the guy that runs it, his name is Alan Bredner, and Alan has an airplane that he flies out of the Chame airfield. And if if you coordinate your trip, in fact, I don't know if he contacted you, but I got a special that he's running for Panama Relocation Tour people that I can disclose tonight. But if you plan your trip accordingly, he will fly you for free out to his bed and breakfast if you're going to stay with him.
Right.
And the special, because right now the ferry is only running on, I think it's Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday. And the ferry itself is, I think, like $50 or $55 each way. So it's
Yeah.
$100 to get out there. But I flew with Alan on his plane with no additional charge because he said, "Hey, I'm going out there. Just fly with me if you're going to stay at my place." So what he's doing is he's going to run a midweek special for right now for $75 a night, and I think it's a 4-night minimum. And if you coordinate that with his flight, he'll fly you there for free, and it's an amazing flight. And you come into the little tiny airstrip down there. In fact, I recorded my landing, and I think it's on the Panama Relocation Tour page on Facebook. I recorded the landing. As I'm landing, I'm recording the whole thing, and then I sent my son a copy of the video, and my son's only response was, "Huh, no fire trucks." So there's like no services on the island. And that's the other thing I was going to mention. If you do go to Isla Contadora, there's only one little beach there that does have full service right now because everything is either shut down, abandoned, or closed. So you got to pack it in and pack it out. But there's one place called Hotel Mariora, Maryoro. That's a really cool little boutique hotel right in the beach, and they have a beach bar down below the restaurant. So they're open, but that beach will disappear for 2 hours every day during high tide. So you have to kind of watch the tides when you're out there.
Yeah, I have some Panama Relocation Tour people that came on a tour. They're doing some house sitting, not on Contadora, but on some of the other islands, and they say it's empty. There's just nobody there.
Yeah.
And they have to place an order with a grocery store in Panama City, and then the food is brought in by the ferry just once a week. I think on Wednesday they get their food. I think also to get to that island, they're requiring you to have a COVID test to get to the island, right?
Yeah. And we can get the COVID test here in Coronado, right outside the main gate. There's a clinic called Fernando, I think is San Fernando Clinic.
Yeah.
And the COVID test there is $45. It's the big nasal swab PCR, I think is what it is, and it's $45, and you have your results in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't. They've been really, really strict about people going onto the island, and
absolutely
anybody that had to go there, even now, they require the COVID test.
Yeah.
So what are some other things, some other adventures that you have planned, if any, while you're here in Panama?
Well, just the other day, I walked on the beach and I found I think you actually used the photo for the promo that you did for the call tonight. I found it's a resort, beach resort with volleyball and picnic tables all over the place, swimming pool, and you can go in there and pay a day pass. And you can be there, I think it's like $30 a day or something like that, and have the whole facility. Or they have rooms, and actually they have a room special right now that I noticed because they're completely empty. And I think it's $59 a night per person, double occupancy, and it includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I ate at the restaurant because they have a restaurant down there that is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so I had lunch there 2 days in a row just because it's such an amazing, tranquil setting.
It is.
But that's Club Gaviota. And then yesterday we went to lunch at a place called the Bayview Hotel over in San Carlos. And that is right on the tip of the ocean. And San Carlos is another beach community that's it's more I guess undeveloped.
Bohemian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And it's a really cool vibe. In fact, the Bayview Hotel, it almost felt like I was walking into someplace in Cuba. That's what it reminded me of. Just really nostalgic, and had a huge piece of red snapper out down there on the beach with like the little yucca fry things, and 2 beers for $18. You know, if I was back in Houston, that'd be a $65 meal at a restaurant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that, and then in January, and we've been kind of watching the COVID thing. There's a sloth rescue sanctuary right up the road in, I think it's El Valle. Is that how they say that?
Yeah. If
Um,
I,
yeah. So there's a bed and breakfast up there that you stay at, and you can work with the sloths and stuff like that. So that's on the calendar for next month.
yeah, there's so much to see and do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's all close, and there's public transportation. Is I think it's $1.75 to go
Yeah,
from Coronado up to Valle, and $1.75 to come back. So it's not hardly worth
yeah,
it to get a car when you
yeah,
can have
absolutely.
public transportation at those kind of prices. Let somebody
Yeah,
else take care of registration and all those things.
yeah.
Yep. So let's go back a little bit. You talked about the one of the reasons you were interested in moving to Panama was to be able to take advantage of the foreign earned income exclusion. That's only available for people from the United States who are normally taxed on their worldwide income. And you're taxed on your worldwide income. The only exception is that if you live overseas full time, which is considered at least 330 days, then you can exempt. I believe the current number is like $107,000 of your income is exempt from taxes. So you only have to pay taxes on everything over that. So not only is it advantageous to live in Panama because it's such a beautiful country, the cost of living is so much less, but if you have some kind of an online business or if you're working remotely, you can save a lot of money in
Mhm.
taxes, just a lot of money in taxes. That was one of the things that I wanted to move overseas for also. Besides Panama Relocation Tours, I have another business that's an online business, and all the income from that is excluded from taxes completely.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it gets a little bit better than that because on the day after Christmas, I turned 59.
Mm,
So now any money that I make above and beyond that 107, I can take 100% of my income up to, I think it's $360,000, and put 100% of that money now into a defined benefits program that's
mm-hmm,
completely tax deferred.
right,
So I can easily live on 107 in Panama, and then
right.
anything above and beyond that, I'm socking it all away for retirement. Because for me, this is a 3 to 5 year plan. Because I have grandkids back in Texas, and one of my grandson is 2, and my granddaughter was just born in October. So I want to think about being back in the States a lot more when they get to be like age 5 and 7.
Right.
So right now, for me, this is a 3 to 5 year plan to where I can try to save as much money as I possibly can, sock it away, and let's see what I have at the end of the day, 5 years down the road.
One of the things that people don't take into consideration, working really costs you a lot of money. Just think about all the fancy clothes you have to wear to a
Yeah,
job, or if you're meeting with clients, if you have an office, then there's office expenses and just commuting to your job. I hear people that drive 45 minutes an hour to get to their office every day. Those things all cost a lot of money. When you add up what all those things cost you, you can probably live on that in Panama. And everything
absolutely.
everything over that is just gravy.
I actually ran my first full week of appointments. Well, I shouldn't say that because now my calendar, I work on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's it. So
Uh-huh.
I ran a full calendar for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. But in between appointments, man, I'm in the pool, I'm in the ocean, I'm up at the gym, and it's right outside my door, and it's
Mm.
everything that I'm looking for. So
Yeah. It's an amazing lifestyle.
absolutely, and this is my wear. I have probably 5 shirts like this. So I've learned very quickly that dry fit shirts are the only shirts to wear. You don't wear cotton, you don't wear anything else. You wear dry fit because otherwise you're going to sweat right through a cotton shirt in five
Yeah.
seconds.
It keeps you much cooler.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot cooler. So you mentioned that whenever in a couple of months you're planning a trip away from Panama for a little while. Are you going to go to Colombia or Costa Rica, or have you decided?
Yeah, so I'm talking to a couple of the expats that live here. There's a couple of them that have got their own second homes in those different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So I may go into. I've never in my wildest dreams thought that I'd go to Medellin, Colombia to have fun. So it's
It's
just, to me, that it's such a foreign idea, but it's so inexpensive. And if that will reset the clock on my passport for 72 hours, I'm like, hey, why not?
yeah.
You know, so it's either going to be that, or it's going to be a Costa Rica trip, or the other thing I've been looking at is I've got friends that live in Thailand, and I could go to Thailand for a week. It's just that I just have so many options now that I've digitized my business, and all I need is an internet connection, and I'm completely good to go.
Yep, exactly. Ecuador is not that far either. Cuenca, Ecuador, or Quito, Ecuador. It's about a 1 hour flight from Panama City, just like Medellin's about a 1 hour flight. Medellin,
Hmm.
I've been to all of those, and Medellin is a huge town, about 5 million people, but it's at a higher elevation like Boquete, so it's a little bit cooler weather, but it's a very compact, a lot of people packed into a small space, but very modern. It's a unique place to go to. So, you just make your list. Okay, I'll go to this one the first time, and I'll go to the next one the next time. And just while you're here and everything is so close and it's so cheap to get there, it's a good
Yeah,
time to go exploring.
absolutely.
Do you plan to get a residency visa at some
Yeah,
point?
actually, yeah. So I have an attorney that I just started working with, so I'm going to do the Friendly Nations visa. So we're actually going to meet. We have that mandatory lockdown that we're doing for the 3 days during Christmas and 3 days during New Year's now. But right after New Year's, we're going to get together and start processing all that paperwork.
Okay. So you
Okay.
brought your paperwork with you for getting the visa.
No, actually, I didn't, because it wasn't my intention to stay. My intention was to
Okay.
be here 60 days because, I was so focused on saying, hey, I need to get to Panama. I need to see if it's going to work before I start doing all these other, gyrations of stuff that they're in the online guide. And I was like going, I'm just going down for a reconnaissance trip. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, when I got here, I looked out the window. I was like, oh my God, I'm here. This is my new me. So yeah, so I'm going backwards a little bit. So I'm okay with that
Yeah.
because
And
I have to make a trip back anyway.
there's also companies in Panama that they'll come to your condo and they'll do your fingerprints for getting your visa, for getting your FBI report. And there's a lot of things you can do just from Panama without even having to go back.
Cool.
So that makes it convenient.
Yeah,
So, what advice do you have for people that are thinking about moving to Panama?
do it. You just have to. If you really are considering this, there's no reason not to do it. And that was, when I first brought this up to my son and daughter-in-law, she looked at me like I was BS crazy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
she just looked at me and she's like, "What are you talking about? You're moving to Panama?" And then
Yeah.
my son says, "He's got that look in his eye. He's got that look in his eye. He's going to do this." And I did it, and I put it on my calendar. I made my timeline of events. I said, okay, here's what has to happen for me to be able to do this, for me to be able to justify it. And I said, I'm diving in. I dove in head first. So, if you're thinking about doing this and you've got the online guide, or you're going to do one of Jackie's tours, man, that is the thing that will save you hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of time and mistakes and pain. Because I can't imagine getting here and not having the background of knowledge that I had before I got here. Because it was a little disconcerting, when I got off the plane and my driver wasn't where my driver was supposed to be at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then all of a sudden I saw him way off on the other side of the parking lot where the driver said got to be out at the airport, holding up a little sign. I'm sitting there going, all right, I have to pretend that I'm playing the Amazing Race. Where's my clue box?
Yeah.
Okay. So I went over there, and sure enough, my name was on this little sign. I'm sitting there going, oh, thank God. Because my backup plan was, if I couldn't find my driver, I was going to go to that hotel that you recommended by the
Mm-hmm.
airport and just get a room
Right.
for the night.
Yeah.
But it was dark, like I said, 4 o'clock in the morning, and it all worked out fine. So, if you're going to do it, the main thing I want to harp on, and people probably don't want to hear this, but get your COVID test before you get on a plane.
Yes.
Okay. Because you want to know you don't want to be quarantined in Panama because you're going to be put into a hotel if you end up positive when you land here, and it's not a nice place to be, from what I hear from other people that I'm talking to in the building that have had to do that. But man, it's so easy. Just go get your test before you ever get on a plane.
Right. Since they've opened up the borders in October, there's been a lot of people that, well, but it costs $200 to get the COVID test here, and it's only $50 in Panama. I'm just going to wait. But then they test positive. Some people have tested positive here, and they've had to go into what they call a COVID hotel, where you always are going to be sharing a room with somebody else who may not speak a word of English. And you have to
Yeah,
stay there at least 7 days, and then they retest you. And if you still test positive, you have to stay another 14 days. So if you had a 2-week trip planned here, it just got ruined because of not getting tested before you came. So absolutely get tested. And a lot of airports now are offering the COVID test at the airport. So if any of you are planning a trip to Panama, then do it. And just like Michael, he originally planned to come here for 2 months and say, I don't know, is this going to work or not? And in 5 days, he knew, yeah, this is going to work. So he signed that lease for a whole year. But the flights go both ways. The flights come to Panama, the flights leave Panama and go someplace else. So if for some reason you come here and it just doesn't feel right, if it's just isn't a good fit, you've got two choices. You can try a different place in Panama. So if the beach is too hot or too humid for you, you can go up in elevation, and maybe a Valle or Santa Fe or Boquete or Volcan might be a better fit. So you can try a different place in Panama, or you can always get on a plane and go back. So it don't have regrets. I think that's the big message. Is if you say, boy, I wish I would have tried Panama out for at least a month or two to see if I like it. So it's a good idea to, if you're thinking about doing it, give it a try. And our online Panama relocation guide, it really helped it helped Michael a lot in making that transition to moving here. I think also the fact that you had access to our private forum on Facebook where we're all
right.
helping each other, and this is what I did and this didn't work and that worked, and just having access to people that have already moved here and people that are planning to move here and hearing about their trials and tribulations and success stories, that makes it helpful also, just to know that you have someone that's going to be right there holding your hand and helping.
Absolutely.
So we have about 30 more minutes, and normally what I do is I would open it up for questions from the audience, but I can't open it up for questions from the audience. So in the chat box for everybody, if you will just type your questions, then I can read your questions for Michael in the chat box, and then he can answer it. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. This is my first time to do this live stream all by myself. The last 2 times my daughter-in-law helped me with it, but she's in Mexico visiting her grandfather right now. So Elaine says the rapid COVID test is $200 available to people in Ontario. Yeah, it's going to cost money, but it's peace of mind. What do you pay for peace of mind, knowing that when you get on that plane, you don't have COVID, so nobody else on the plane's going to get it, and knowing that when you get here, you can continue on with your adventure. You're not going to be stuck in quarantine someplace. So that's a really good thing to know. So another question that just came in. Can you get the COVID test at the airports when you leave Panama? That's a good question, Sandy. Usually you don't need a COVID test whenever you're leaving Panama, although some depends on which country you're going to. Some countries require you to have the COVID test. Some airlines are even requiring a COVID test. So it is available at the Panama airport. I don't know if they do it for people that are leaving the country or not. But I do have several places that are real close by to the airport where you can get a COVID test and you get your results in about 30 or 40 minutes. So just send a message to info@Panama Relocation Tours if you need to know where those are. Now, there's one other thing I was going to ask you about, Michael. If I remember right, you ran into some guy from Venezuela who knows how to cook. So
Yeah.
tell us about that little adventure, and then we'll go back to some more questions in a little bit.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So when I got here, there's a couple of local Facebook groups, and that's the other thing I recommend is when you're talking to expats in your area, find out if they have local Facebook groups. Like there's one specifically for Coronado, and so I just made a posting that said, hey, I'm new to the country. I am looking for somebody that wouldn't mind taking me to the grocery store for the first time, and because I don't speak Spanish. So Panama checked every single box for me except for one, and I don't know the language. And what I found is I don't have to know it, but I'm willing to learn it and I want to learn it because it's only polite to do so because I'm in their country. But it's definitely not a requirement when you're in Coronado in this expat community because everybody speaks English until
Mm-hmm.
you get outside the gate and you get to the grocery stores. So I was a little bit nervous about, you know, looking at the products to see, what does it say on the product, how much is it? How do I, correspond with this? Are they going to take my credit card? All that kind of stuff. So anyway, this guy responded to my ad that was a out of work events coordinator and hobby chef, and it's from Venezuela. And so he responded. He's like, "Hey, I'm willing to do this for you." And so we started negotiating the deal, and we ended up making a menu that was going to give me 10 dinners, probably 5 lunches, and a couple of breakfasts. So I paid him $100, and that's what he was going to be happy with. And I met him at the store at the Ray. He came in by bus, got a COVID test because I said, "Hey, if you're going to come into our area, you gotta have a COVID test." It was my
Mm-hmm.
requirement,
Yeah.
because he was coming from the city, and I just don't know what environment he was in. So he did that, and I paid for that as well. And so he met me at the store, did all the grocery shopping, because I started, doing my own grocery shopping when I was there, and my stress level, my anxiety level was through the roof because I was nervous. I didn't know anything about it, and then all of a sudden he showed up. He recognized me because I sent him my picture that I was gonna, what I was wearing for that day, and he came up and he tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "Michael?" I was like, "Yep." And then he took over and he had his menu, and we flew through the stores, and he's grabbing stuff off the shelf and throwing it in the basket, and off we went. And he stayed here for almost 48 hours and
Mm-hmm.
cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked. And of course, I let him use the pool and the ocean. And, he had never, been to, this kind of a nice area before. So it was really, really fun. And, you know, it was a good way to give back because he didn't have money to pay his rent. He didn't
Yeah.
have money for food. And I was like, man, this is a win-win situation for everybody. And since then, I've gotten him some other gigs where he's actually, there's a company in Panama that delivers meat, like huge pork chops, big, thick, 1 inch thick pork chops. They'll deliver all the way to Coronado, racks of ribs and all that kind of stuff. And Javier, we went over to Panama Ceres Casitas, and Javier cooked on the grill and did all this stuff on the grill and laid out all the courses and did grilled pineapple and all that kind of stuff. And so he's met some of these other expats, and he's actually got a pretty full calendar between now and Christmas. So it's been
That's good.
been a win-win deal for everybody.
You were a big blessing for him, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it's
It
pretty
was
cool.
good. And
Yeah,
you hear about that, just people that are out of work and that have some skills, and if you can connect them with the right people to help them out, that's so appreciated. It's really appreciated. So some other questions that came in is, what would be the average yearly income or monthly income needed to live comfortably in Coronado, in your opinion?
well, right now with being able to negotiate the rent down to what you did, if you can't live here for under $2,000 a month, you're doing something wrong.
Right. Yeah. There's certainly places in Coronado where you can pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month rent, but you don't need to. You
Yeah,
can, and just last weekend we were doing a Panama relocation tour, and we saw a real cute 2 bedroom, 2 bath, single family home with a fenced yard and a private swimming pool for $1,200 a month,
yeah,
all
yeah.
furnished. And that was their asking price. That was before negotiation. So Like Michael said, I really think you can live well there on $2,000 a month. And if that's too much for you, there's plenty of places in Panama where you can live for a little bit less. Although some of the property management companies that we work with in the Coronado area, just 2 weeks ago, they helped a guy that came on our tour that moved here find a really cute house in San Carlos for $500 a month,
Wow.
furnished for $500 a month. So there's all different price points in houses and condos. There's all different price points. It just depends on what kind of things you're looking for. So Stephen or someone, I'm scrolling pretty fast over here. Once again, if you guys have a question, type it in the chat window and I'll read it. I think it was Stephen asked if a tourist or non-resident could open a bank account in Panama. It's gotten more difficult to do that. Usually they want to see a letter from your attorney that you are in the process of getting a residency visa. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get your account opened up. And Cheryl said that Coronado is one of the pricier places to live in Panama. It is a little bit more pricey than other places, but you got all the amenities that you might not have in some of the other places. It's much more modern than other places. The other big plus about Coronado, if you wanted to, it's like an hour and a half to get into Panama City. The airport is very close by, so there's so many things that are close by. So another question, can you tell us about the difficulty with obtaining a retiree residency for a 50-year-old military vet, the pensionado visa? Does it help with buying real estate? So Christopher, no, you don't need to buy any real estate to get the pensionado visa. It's actually the easiest visa to get, whether you're a veteran or not. You only need to prove that you have $1,000 a month in lifetime income. And if you're married, $250 for your spouse. So $1,250 for a couple. Super easy visa to get. It's also the cheapest visa to get. Another question, Panama relocation tours on YouTube has quite a few videos of single ladies who've successfully moved alone. Yep, single ladies, single men, sometimes they find each other here in Panama too. It happens. So someone wants to know if there's earthquakes in Coronado. So you haven't been here long enough yet, but we do have earthquakes in Panama. They're usually so mild that unless you're sitting really, really still, you're not even going to feel it. But we do have them throughout the country. So Daniel wants to know, how's your internet in Coronado, Michael?
That's a really good question. So I do Zoom meetings with my clients. So like I said, last week was my first full week of calendar appointments. So Tuesday I ran Zoom meetings from 1:30 in the afternoon until 9 o'clock at night in hour-and-a-half increments. I did not lose connection at one time. However, earlier that day, I lost internet 3 different times. One with a power surge, and 2 with the internet coming in and out because they were doing some work in the area. So for me, that was the most important thing above and beyond being on the beach and having a pool and all that other stuff was the reliability of the internet. So the reason I picked Coronado was because I want the beaches, because I want the pool. But my backup plan was to have an office in Panama City and then commute back and forth if I had to. So that was my backup plan. But what I've found now is that if I get an uninterruptible power supply, that I can get through my power surges because our building here has lost power probably 7 to 8 times in the last week. But I do have a surge protector now and everything that gives me a 30-second delay on a when it kicks back in, so my computer and my ring light and all my internet stuff doesn't get affected that way. But if I can get that power supply, that should give me 3 hours, 3 to 6 hours of backup to where I can run everything without interruption. Because typically when the power goes out, the internet does not go out. The internet just happened to be in and out the other day because they were doing work in the area. But when we have a power surge, if I can get everything plugged into that box, I should be able to eliminate that problem. But right now, at the wall, I've got 600 megs. I just ordered a new router. The router is throttling me back right now to 70, which for Zoom is way more than enough. So my
Mhm.
common areas here in Coronado Bay have a different internet provider. So when the internet was in and out the other day, I could go to the pool down below, or I could go to the rooftop pool in the common areas and still maintain my Zoom meetings with a speed as low as 7 to 10, and I was still completely fine.
Yeah, a lot of areas in Coronado have fiber optics through cable UNDA, which is 100 megabits. You can get up to 300, 600 megabits of internet speed. Most people don't need that, but
Mhm.
some people would need that. So fiber optics is available in Coronado and in many other places in Panama as well. So if you're worried about internet, don't. Not in
Yep.
Panama. Another question that came in is if we do tours in the Western Azuera. We do private tours in the Western Azuera, and we do have a private tour guide that's available for that area. And another question, are phone hotspots available for internet backup? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I have not ventured that way yet because my phone that I have, I had to keep it for business. So I've got the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, and it's got a dual SIM card tray to where I can run dual SIM cards, but the tray that's in my phone is only the Nano plus a SD card. So I ordered a
Mhm.
new tray in Amazon, so I got a Fastbox account, and I ordered all my stuff that I want, like my spices, my favorite spices. If you have your favorite spices, bring them because I don't have them here. But so I ordered all my stuff on Amazon. It's still going to be delivered to Florida. I mean, it's already landed there. So now I'm waiting for all that stuff to come in, and then once I get my dual SIM, I'll know more about the hotspots. But I can't speak to that at this time.
Right. So what Michael was talking about, to get Amazon orders or birthday presents, Christmas presents from your family, they can't just mail it to your address here in Panama. It doesn't work that way. We have no mail delivery to your house at all. Instead, all you have to set up an account with a mail forwarding company, and there's a lot of them throughout the country, and they'll give you an address in Miami. So when you order something from Amazon, if your family wants to send you a present, they would send it to Miami, and then it's put on a plane and it's brought to Panama, and it goes to the office of the mail forwarding company. They send you an email. Sometimes they'll call you and say you have a package, so you just go in and pick it up. Some of them are even delivering now because of COVID. So it takes about, if I order something from Amazon, from the day I order it until the day it gets here to Boquete, where I live, is about 7 days. So you get it pretty fast. So another question, um, is that the cases in no direct mail? I'm sorry, don't understand the question, Darsa. So some of these are questions about FBI reports and things like that. If you'll send an email to me at info@Panama Relocation Tours with those kind of questions, I'll be glad to answer them by email. But let's focus on questions for Michael since we have him with us for just a little bit longer. So another question that came in is where in the relocation guide does it recommend to stay with good internet when arriving in Panama City before the morning flight to David? So if you look in the relocation guide at the very bottom where it says self-guided tour, for each one of the different towns, we have recommendations on different hotels where you can stay. If you're coming into Panama at 4 o'clock in the morning, like Michael did, or you can't get a connecting flight or connecting driver right away, there's two good hotels that are right by the airport. One is Crown Plaza, and the other one is Riande. They both have a free airport shuttle service from the airport to the hotel and then back to the airport if you have a connecting flight the next day. So those would be the ones if you have a connecting flight right away. There's also a good place just to stay right in Panama City. So another question that came up is what is the humidity like in Coronado?
It's there.
Yeah.
So I lived in Houston for the last year and a half, and um, even during the lockdown in Houston, on the most miserable day, I open up my condo door and I walk out for take a step, and I'm like, oh hell no, and I go back in the house. It's not. what's different about it here, I mean, it's obviously it's the same humidity level, and you are going to sweat if you're not prepared. Like again, these dry fit shirts save your life. You don't need anything but shorts and flip flops here. There's no reason to dress any other way than that. But it is humid. So, like, I have air conditioning in my unit here, and I'll run the air conditioning at night. Like right now, I don't have it on, and you get used to it. Believe it or not, I never thought in a million years I would ever say that you get used to the heat and the humidity, but you actually do get used to it because there's typically always a breeze, and when there is a breeze, you perspire a little bit, and that breeze cools your skin off. And I've learned to deal with it. Now, I was at Picasso's restaurant the other day, and I could tell that there was some brand new expats that had gotten here. It was their very first day, and they were pretty big people, and they were sweating like crazy, and they were really upset with the fact that there was not any place to sit at the restaurant inside. It's an outdoor restaurant, and they said that it's just ridiculous. It's way too hot here, and we need some places so that we can sit here and enjoy something cool. And I'm like, you guys came to the wrong place. So you have to have realistic expectations, and a lot of places you go to are not going to have air conditioning like we're used to. And if you're looking for the AC and the nice restaurants and being able to go someplace where you can get cool, man, you're gonna have to produce it yourself.
Yeah, and those restaurants are available, but you got to pick the right one. So there's certain
Yeah,
restaurants where they are going to
yeah,
have air conditioning, but once you've been in Panama for a while, you just get used to the weather and then you get
yeah,
used to the humidity. And many of the condos, probably, especially if you're on the eastern side, you have a nice ocean breeze throughout the
yep.
day. So if you have your sliding glass door open and your windows open, with just ceiling fans, you're going to be comfortable.
The other the, other-
Most
the other the other recommendation I'll make, not, I'm sorry to interrupt it, but if you're coming down here, bring your high quality sheets, your high thread count sheets, because you're not going to find the high quality thread count sheets here. And that's what I did. I brought my own bedding, because otherwise, if you have just those regular cotton sheets that all the other places have, and you're going to stick. You're going to stick to your bed. But
Yeah,
if you have the nice stuff, you're going to be fine.
yeah, you're going to be fine. Someone asked if you thought it would be safe to just ride an e-bike to get around in Coronado.
Absolutely, without any shadow of a doubt. In fact, you can go all the way to Gorgona through the back roads and down the beach, and without any issue whatsoever.
Hmm. Also, what about bugs, like on the beach? Have you run into
Oh,
no-see-ums or bug problems?
yeah, so I don't know if you remember my post. I was the one that posted the thing about, what happens at 2 o'clock in the morning when you flip the lights on for the first time. What's going to
Hmm.
be running around. In the condo here at Coronado Bay, I have nothing, no bugs whatsoever. If I leave my sliding glass door open at this level, because I'm on the second elevation, of course mosquitoes will come in and flies will come in and stuff like that. But so when I went out to Isla Contadora last weekend and I had the whole place to myself, I was on Playa Larga, and I had one towel with me that I sat on, but my feet were in the sand. Well, when I got back, that's when I realized how bad that I got attacked. So the key is to have your off or your cutters with a DEET spray your ankles, because that's where you're going to get the effect, and spray your feet, and you're fine. I've had no issue other than that the Contadora trip, because I wasn't I wasn't prepared for that properly. But man, I had 2 days of misery after that trip.
Yeah, every time I go to Bocas del Toro or to even to the Pacific, the no-see-ums, they just love me for some reason.
Yeah,
They like my blood. But there's a product that you can buy here in Panama. It's called jungle oil, and it's made by a shaman way up in the mountains. It's kind of hard to find, but when you get that, it's really better than anything else. It's just a bunch of medicinal plants that he uh, compounds together in either alcohol or some kind of coconut oil, and you rub that on, you'll never get bit. So I'll have to send you some jungle oil. I'll
yeah,
find
awesome.
some.
I
Okay.
appreciate that.
So another question is, how much Spanish do you use? Well, when you first get here, you probably don't know any Spanish, but you learn to just be cordial. Just say hola or buenos dias every once in a while, right, Michael?
Yeah. And, a smile goes a long way, but now that your mask is on, I've learned that if I just squint my eyes like I'm smiling, that goes a long way as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you make the attempt and then, you just, if they converse and you just say no comprende, it's amazing how many of them will flip into English. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really no issue. Now, I will say at Bayview Hotel, however, over in San Carlos, they spoke zero English whatsoever, and the menu was all in Spanish. And I just pulled up my phone. I had their Wi-Fi, and I just went straight to Google Translate. I scanned the menu, and you know that's what I use. I use Google Translate because I know zero Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think you have someone following you already. So is Michael single? He's referred to we a few times. And this is Stephanie that wants to know.
Yeah, I am single and not looking.
There you go.
This is all
There,
about me right now.
there's the answer to your question. And somebody asked me if the jungle oil is available at the Tuesday market. Yes, it is available at the Tuesday market. And someone asked about if you have to have a license for your bicycle. Anytime you're riding a bicycle in Panama, there's a license plate that you get for your bicycle. You'll go to the municipality and they'll issue one. You do have to show a receipt or some kind of proof that you actually own the bicycle. And then I think it's $30 for your license. So it's not very much.
I
So,
will say, I will say within Coronado, I have a golf cart that I've rented for the month, and you just go wherever you want to, as long as you're inside the gate without
right.
issue. I mean, it's just
Yeah. Yep. Someone asked, can you eat outdoors or outside? Only because can you eat outside only because of the COVID restrictions or what's this? I think at Picasso, they only have outdoor seating, right?
yeah. Over at Luna Rosa, they do have interior seating, and they will sit there, but they only sit on either the left side of the restaurant or the right side. The middle, nobody's allowed to sit there. They're very, very strict about their social distancing guidelines.
Can you swim in the ocean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The water is so warm right now. It's got to be in the low 80s, I would imagine. And the what's interesting here in front of our building is so calm that I actually bought a paddleboard, inflatable paddleboard, and I didn't even get a chance to take it out because I had it on my balcony. I had just put it on my balcony, and it clearly says on there not to store it in the sun. Well, I was in the pool just for a few minutes, and then we heard this huge explosion, and we thought that like the building had blown up, but it was my paddleboard that exploded because I left it in the sun. But it is completely calm out here right now, out in the ocean. There's very little surf. If the surf that does break is the waves are probably maybe 2 feet.
Hmm.
So it is perfect for swimming, perfect for paddleboarding. The beach is nothing but sand. There's no rock, and it's an amazing place.
I do have to warn you that sand gets really hot. So it's a
It
good
does.
idea to go out there with some flip flops or sandals on instead of just barefoot because you could burn your feet.
Yeah, it's a good
Um,
point because the beach here in Coronado does have black sand because of the volcanic history of this area. So it has a mix between black and the lighter color. You don't walk on the black.
right. Yeah. And, just anywhere, it's better to make sure you have some flip flops close by. I do know
Yeah.
people from my tour that have saw the beach and they kicked off their shoes and walked right out there. And within a few minutes, their feet were on fire, it felt like.
Yeah.
So someone's asking again about your budget and ask if 2000 was just for rent. If I remember right, your lease is for 1100 for your two
Correct.
bedroom,
Yeah.
two bath condo.
Yeah, and then I pay internet and I pay electric. So my perceived electric from talking to other people that are on that same side of the building should be between $18 and $40 a month maximum. My internet, because I want the high speed, is probably going to cost me about $80 a month. But beyond that, that's it.
Right. Yeah. It does. It doesn't. And food is so affordable. If you get sick and you need to go to the doctor at the San Fernando clinic that's close to you, it's like $20 to see a doctor. That cost is without insurance. Massages are going to be about 25 or $30 for a 1 hour massage. Just the cost of living in general is just so much cheaper. in Panama than it is in other areas. So we've had a lot of other questions about sharks and jellyfish and stingrays, and
Nope.
they're going to be further out. It's very seldom that you're going to see those. In Bocas del Toro, whenever we change from, and also in the Zora Peninsula, when we change from the rainy season to the dry season, and when we change from the dry season back into the rainy season, there's about a week in there where you may see some jellyfish, but the rest of the time you're not going to see it. So we're already past that time. So, Michael, I want to, someone asked how often I update the online guide. So I update the online guide as necessary. Lately, I've been updating it about every 2 weeks. There's some kind of an update that I do, but also anytime that there's something that's different that's going on here in Panama, if there's some new curfew, if there's some new anything going on, if there's a special going on at a beach resort or something, then we have our private community forum where I put daily, sometimes multiple times a day, updates in there. But the actual online guide, most of the information in there is valid. If necessary, I do make some changes. For example, I just made a change on how to get a driver's license here in Panama. There were only 2 ways, and now there's a third way. So I have the third way that's listed in there. If I add a new immigration attorney, then I put that out there also. So just as necessary, I make sure I keep it updated. Someone's asking again about sharks in the ocean. You don't have to worry about that here. The sharks are going to be a little bit further out than where you would probably be going swimming. So, Michael, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Someone asked to see your view again. Well, guess what? It's dark. If you notice, the lighting has changed for me and for Michael as we did this phone call. It gets dark. Sunrise in Panama is about 6:30 in the morning, and about 6:30 at night is when our sunset is. So right now it's almost 7 in Panama, and that means that it's already dark outside. But the little cover photo that we had on the advertisement for this live stream, that's the view that's just right down a walk, right down from where Michael lives on where he went and had lunch. So that's basically the view that he has of the ocean. And at the beginning of this live stream, he turned his camera a little bit to show you the palm trees with the ocean in the background so you could see what that beautiful view was. I see we still have some other questions that have come in. And I just want to encourage you, if you have a question about anything, you can always send an email to info@Panama Relocation Tours, and we'll be glad to answer your question there. Or you can call our office at 972-496-4500. And Michael, once again, thank you so much for being on the call. Thank you for the 1 hour of your time. I'm so happy that you're happy here in Panama.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie, for everything you've done, because without you, I don't know that I would be sitting where I am today, because, everything that you do. And, I listened to all your calls when you first started these things, and I was on a call every Saturday. I didn't always ask a question, but I was there listening, or I listened to the replay, and I just did my research. And again, thank you for everything you've done. So, this hour is, the minimum I could do to pay you back for that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody that was on the live stream today. We had 558 people on this live stream today. A lot of people. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.